My friend has been recommending to me to watch this show called The Discovery of Witches. It's supposed to be like an adult version of Twilight. I don't understand what people mean by that because I'm an adult and I like Twilight. I could see why people think it's very similar just because of the way it's filmed and the way they speak. I do like how the pilot was really fast moving. It wasn't like a show of her just discovering that she's a witch. It keeps the show moving. This guy does have a lot of Edward characteristics, like that whole I crave her. Vampires, am I right? Also, there's a scene in here that I have to mention. Sometimes I feel like less dialogue is actually a sign of good writing because it lets you feel all the things. For instance, there's a scene in episode 2. He says, hey, you're cold. She says, how do you know? He says, your heart is slowing down. She says, you can feel my heart? He says, of course. End scene. And you're like, say less. Okay, so I just finished episode 3, 4, and part of 5. While I agree it's not word for word like Twilight, but the themes are very similar. There's a congressional of elders that oversee all these powerful mythical creatures, and they tell you what you can and cannot do. Their number one goal is to make sure that you're not discovered, and then they tell you that you cannot be with somebody, so that in turn, to save your life, the vampire leaves, and then the girl summons a storm while she cries. That sounds very familiar to me. And then he imprints on her. I have one question though. Where are the werewolves? Also, I should mention that the scenery in this show is so beautiful. It's filmed in Oxford and some scenes are in Venice. I have been to Venice before and it looks exactly like that. It's beautiful. And the I love you after 3 weeks. Who does that? Bella and Diana, that's who. Okay, Discovery of Witches, episodes 6 through 8. I don't know if I'm gonna read the books, but I could see why you guys would like the books better. I do think the show is lacking. There is a lot of holes in the story. It leaves a lot up for questioning. Like for instance, they reveal that Matthew is like 1,500 years old. I need to know what was he doing all those years. And then he has a son, but they don't mention who the mother is. And there's this part where Juliet stabs him in the neck and basically almost dies. How does a 1,500-year-old vampire die so easily? And then finally, I don't remember where, maybe in like 7, or she starts kind of like embracing her witch power. Oh my God, thank God. I just could not wait because you knew it was going to happen. But why did they always like drag it out so long? Also, what do the demons do? Somebody confirmed to me that there was no werewolves and I feel really incomplete. Also, if you're anything like me and you need shows with a little bit of comedy, this is not it. Discovery Witches, Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2. So Season 2 starts off like it's almost a whole new show. Especially if you watch Season 1 and 2 back to back. If you like period pieces, you'll probably like Season 2 better than 1. So Diana is generally surprised to find out that Matthew is like really not a good person in 1595. Let's be realistic here. If you meet a vampire and he tells you that he's lived for 1,500 years, you can probably assume that he's killed some people. And if he's lived all the way till 2021 and he's basically rich and has a mansion, you can probably assume that he's done some shady shit in his life. In some of the scenes, she's really like, oh my gosh, I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. And generally, I'm really curious. What happens to their past lives when they're traveling back in time? I assume not 2 of them can exist in a time frame at a time. So I just picture that the person that they're replacing is like in purgatory or something. Or maybe they're asleep in the empty. That's a supernatural reference, by the way. Discovery of Witches, Season 2, Episodes 3 and 4. Okay, it's starting to get interesting just because now what's happening is they're starting to change the future by being in the past, which I thought was going to happen. There's just this one scene that I have to mention. In episodes 4, it's just so funny. So they go visit his dad, and the dad says, I can see that you guys haven't mated or consummated your marriage yet because you smell the same. You must not be serious about her because you haven't bed her yet. This infuriates Diana, and they get in an argument about it. Of which Matthew says, I was just trying to protect you. And she's basically like, I don't need your protection. I need your... And now your dad knows? I'm mortified. And he's basically like, well, if you care so much, why don't you bed my dad? Like, what, Matthew? Rude. Also, why do vampires have such toxic relationships with their family? You would think after living a few hundred centuries with them, they would get along better. Discovery Witches, Season 2, Episodes 5 through 7. I think one of the heartwarming moments of the series is when Matthew goes visits his dad. Matthew's father, Philip, is kind of a tough love type of dad. I think some of Matthew's enraged anger towards his father has something to do with the way his father died and how he felt really guilty about it. And his final scene with his father was how his father basically said, hey, no matter what happens, I forgive you for what happened in my life. And the fact that he was able to write one final love letter to Isabel. I really don't know what's going to happen, but I really want my prediction to be, I saw that Diana changed some sort of map that was for witch hunting. I mean, wouldn't it be ironic if that map basically killed Isabel and let Philip live? Discovery Witches episode 8 and 9 season 2. Okay, I have to tell you, the last few episodes are just getting really freaking weird. Like, watch this. Like, did she just mind fuck him? So Matthew the vampire is inflicted with this vampiric disease called blood rage. Talk about not knowing a guy before you fully commit and move in with him and shit. I mean, I'm attracted to fictional toxic men, but this is like too much. Like, where is Angel and Spike? And can you tell this man how to get a soul? I've watched a lot of weird vampire shows, and this, I have to say, is like the weirdest of all of them. Girl, if you become so enraged and obsessed every time you're around, run. Discovery Witches, episode 10, season 2. Overall, the series was okay. I would say 3 out of 5 stars. It's very dialogue heavy, so if you like that type of stuff, you might like this. If you also like supernatural things and romance, you also might like the series as well. To me, the series is just too serious. Like, literally, there was only one funny character, and it was this man right here. I would watch a whole series with just this man right here. Also, a little bit corny, in my opinion, as far as the love story is concerned. The plot leaves a lot to be desired because there's a lot of holes in the plot, and they don't explain it very well, so I'm sure that's why the book is a lot better. Based on the last episode, though, I would probably watch the season 3. Just because they leave it off as a cliffhanger, and you kind of want to know who the bloodlust killer is, what's going to happen to the baby, will they ever find the book, is it Jack? I'm pretty sure it's Jack.